The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
The Jets don't have a head coach. They don't have a GM. We don't know about the quarterback. And Woody Johnson continues to meddle. We'll talk about the latest on the Jets with the great Fireman Ed, who joins us in his weekly spot on the show. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started. Man.
Shout out to Jet fans that are still showing up. I don't know what sort of dysfunctional family they grew up in, but I feel like if you parents were two people that should have broke up but never did, you're tailor-made to be a Jets fan because it's a toxic relationship. The level of swag that Jet fans wear, you would think that they had like 4 or 5 Super Bowls.
We bleed Jet green each and every day. This is not the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jet bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. Hit the like button. More importantly, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. We are presented today by Huga House. The hat I'm wearing, you can get a 15% off any of their new hats, plus the now winter hats that Huga House just released yesterday. Check it out, HUEGAhouse.com. Promo code ASMAN at checkout for 15% off. Shout out to Huga House for being a part of our show. Joining us right now in his weekly spot on the show is Jet Superfan and our good friend Fireman Ed. Ed, it's always something with the New York Jets. The latest, general manager gone after a 3-8 start, and a story in The Athletic detailing the alleged involvement, the alleged meddling by Woody Johnson. Which one would you like to start with first?
Well, we're on a hamster wheel, and we can't get off the hamster wheel. Just can't get off it. So, it's nonstop. It's a shame because we love the team so much, and like I said last week, they just don't love us back. So that's a problem in itself. Where do we start? The Athletic, they have their own issues because, they got a problem with Aaron Rodgers. So I'm kind of skeptical I don't know what to believe. I hate when I just hear sources. Put some, put a name on it. Put a name on it. Here's the bottom line, though. Like I think I told you earlier before we went on the show. Woody's got to address it. An article like that, that's slander. I mean, that is just outright. I mean, they murdered him. Come on. They murdered him. He's got to address that. If he doesn't address it, then you got to start saying, well, maybe it is factual, right? I mean, time will tell as far as that goes. I really don't know what to believe. I know one thing: if he's involved that much, that's really a problem. Like we haven't felt he was that involved in the past. I'm talking about overall for the whole football operations. I mean, when he's getting involved with, they're talking about Tony Adams said, Aaron Rodgers, I suggest that you sit him. Maybe we should suggest. Do you see that word suggest? That's what gets me with the article. Like suggests. Come on, man. What are we talking about here? Like when you start reading articles, you got to put a name on it. You got to, it can't be sources. Come on, Jake. Like that's everything in life. So what do we believe? Obviously he did a lot more to Joe Douglas than we knew. All right. I mean, he handcuffed Joe Douglas. Look at what he did with Bryce. If it's factual, Bryce Hoff when he wanted to extend him. All right? That would have kept the defensive line in place because they would never got rid of JFM because they wouldn't have went after Reddick. Right? Probably would have kept more of the defensive line in place. There's just so many things. I mean, it's crazy what we're talking about here.
Right.
You know, and the meddling is, I mean, what's the future at this point? Who's coming here? Who's coming here? Like when they look at that, who's coming here?
Really, what needs to happen, Ed, is Woody's got to say something. And
Yes.
more importantly, as you look to the future, he's got to say he's going to let his football people be the football people. It's almost like you're going to have to put that in writing now to attract a legitimate candidate. Like it kind of feels like that's where we're at going forward, because I do agree with you. This is really the first time it feels like clearly the owner got involved. I mean, we saw a head coach get fired after 5 games in 25 years as the owner. He's never fired a coach mid-season before. So we know he was more involved this year than ever. But it all goes back to the fact, if he had this little faith in his regime he had in place, why were they here going into this year in the first place? The biggest mistake was, if you felt this way about the coach and GM after a 7-10 season last year, even with Aaron going down, that would have been the time to make changes. But typical Jets, they don't make the changes until this season starts. And then at that point, too late, you already made your bed. And now Woody tried to change things on the fly, and it obviously has backfired in spectacular fashion.
Because he was married to Aaron Rodgers, because they all went out. They all flew out to his house. They were all there. So they were all as one. The bottom line, it come down to the Achilles. You know what? We got to remember the timeline. Got to remember, we start questioning everything, but you got to go back to the timeline. What we do is we forget everything that actually transpired. I mean, the reason he didn't do it was because he got an Achilles tear,
right? And
he wanted to continue what they went out there. They flew out to see him. That's why they did what they did this year. Let's be honest. That's why they did it. All right? Was there question marks before the season? 1,000,000%. More so, I felt with Salah than Joe Douglas, because Joe Douglas made some good moves. Joe Douglas's biggest move that he didn't make was Zach Wilson, drafting Zach Wilson. He'll always be tied to that. Guys will always be tied to a quarterback that they drafted. Okay, but when you get into that, I mean, John Lynch drafted friggin' Trey Lance and gave up a shitload. He's still there. Okay, but the difference is they win. They're winning. So you're based on winning. I get it. Joe, the handlight was on the wall for Joe. But leading back to this, what we're getting to, let's get back into the beginning of the year. He fires Rex Hogan because now you hear, well, the word is that he was the leaker. Okay. I mean, I don't know what to believe with that either. But I would believe that more so if Chad Alexander didn't go to the Los Angeles Chargers. He went right after that. So there's way more than, they put leaker, Rex Hogan, the leaker. That's another source that we don't know factual. Is that factual? Do we have any proof of that? I mean, you're slandering a guy's reputation. Rex Hogan is a football guy. Now, we'll see if this year, if he gets picked up this year. But it was late. It was late. A lot of organizations they're all set. This was in February. They're already fucking doing what they're doing. You get the combine. They got everything. We're going to put him in there. So this year you'll see if Rex gets a job. I'm a big Rex Hogan fan. So I'm not going to start knocking Rex because I'm not quite sure. I don't believe, listen, I told you last week, and I'll tell you again. We talked about culture. Culture. Okay? Woody Johnson is running this team. If he is doing what he's doing, that's the culture in itself. Okay? And that's a disaster for fans like us. Because that's basically how Woody's operating. Is he losing his mind? Is he getting Alzheimer's? What is going on? No, but I mean, what is he fucking doing? Like, he's getting too involved in everything. That makes you say to yourself, whoa, 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 whoa. If it's factual, and I'm still not sold, I want to see if he actually answers that. Because in that article in The Athletic, man, they went in a lot of different directions. They went a lot of different directions, Jake. They went from him suggesting Aaron Rodgers sit. Tony Adams, bench him. I mean, they go on and on. That they didn't want Bryce Hoff to be signed to an extension. All right? I mean, these are all day-to-day things that are going on. That's not normal, man. That's not normal.
No. Well, what's weird too, Ed, I mean, this article talks about how he suggests after the Denver loss sitting Rodgers down. And then I had Rich Samiti on yesterday, and he goes, his interpretation of that conversation from people he spoke to was Woody was testing them, or people thought he was kidding. So no one knows what's real, what's not. And then 2 weeks later, they trade for Devontae Adams. So he wanted to bench the guy they built the entire team around this year to then bringing in his best friend 2 weeks later. Like, just so much of it doesn't add up. But I'll say this. You're right that Woody should say something. And more importantly, he should just issue a mea culpa to the fans. Like, this is unacceptable. It's on me. I promise. Look, it's not going to matter until they actually get it right. But at least come out and get out in front of it and say, this is unacceptable. It's on me as the owner. We're going to hire the right people to fix this. And those people are going to be the ones running the team. Like, you have to at least say that publicly, because you're right. If he says nothing, more and more people are just going to assume, it's Woody. He's a bad owner. Of course, this is true.
Listen, I agree with all of that. It's a circus otherwise. I mean, it's a circus. He has to address it. What you just said is exactly correct. He needs to stop this and give the fan base some confidence in the fact that, okay, listen, I'm going to hire the people and do the right thing. I'll get a football guy in here. You know, I didn't have, all right, let me go back. I'm jumping too much here. I told you with the culture what I would do. The first thing I would do, I would build an outhouse in Florham Park. And that's where the press conferences are. Don't have the press in your building. Keep them out. That's football. That's football operations. Football operations are there. The outhouse is there. We'll address everything that this team has to do over there. That'll start the culture right there. The media won't like it. Who gives a rat's ass? Who gives a rat's ass? You want to win championships. They have a job to do. That's where you're going to do your job. It's over there. You're not going to be part of the football operations. So that would be the first thing that if I owned the team, they'd be over there. They wouldn't like me. I wouldn't give a fuck. Wouldn't care. It's all about winning and football and 365, 24/7. Period. End of story. Everything else is bullshit. They got a job to do. Let them do it. But they are creating more of a circus, in my opinion. In my opinion, going through all the years watching this, they are part of the reason why the culture is no good. They just are. And it shows because look at what they're doing to the Giants in the last decade. Look at a zoo over there. And hasn't been a zoo there. Okay? It is now. It is the last 10 years. So that's the first thing I would do. Woody Johnson needs to get out in front of this and get his fan base. If he really does love his fan base, he will address the hatchet job, the absolute hatchet job of The Athletic. That is a hatchet job. And now we can go back in time and look at what Diana Rossini did with Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers called her out. If you go back to the timeline and go look and you see what went on, you know that, Jake. You're involved in all of that. You see what's going on. Mm-hmm. Diana Rossini had a problem with Rodgers, and Rodgers kind of like addressed it, right, on the McAfee show. And so there's more to that. There's a whole, listen, everybody has an agenda. Everybody has their own agenda. That's why I always say when you see an article written and the fans ask me, what do you think of that? The first thing I say is, who wrote it? Who's saying it? And then you decipher what's their agenda, what is real and what isn't. There's a ton of haters. I love the Jet fans, and I love the people that love the green and white. If you're going to be down on the Jets, and there's plenty of reason to be down on the Jets, I get it. But you're a fan. You love them. You're supposed to love them. If you hate them that much, then get the fuck out. Go. Move on. We don't need you. We got enough haters. We need to have more. We gonna have Jet fans that are haters? I mean, come on. There's no way. Now we can discuss it like we are, and we can be frustrated and all of the above. But the bottom line is, do you love your green and white? It's the bottom line. Do you love them? If you love them, you protect them. And when people talk about them, you do what you got to do. What I always did. They know better than to talk nonsense to me, because I don't listen to that too much. That don't happen. But people don't know that side. They don't know that side.
Ed, this team, 3-8. They're going to have a new GM. They're going to have a new head coach. It's crazy to talk about this in November, but here we are, of course, talking about this team. I mean, what would be the ideal scenario? Because my big thing is, we know Woody's going to now have to hire a new GM, a new coach. I keep coming back to this. Who's helping him? Who's advising him? Who's in these interviews? Who's helping him come up with a list of candidates? It's easy to say, go get the hires right. What's the process to try and get these hires right? What are your thoughts on where the Jets go from here?
Well, I will tell you this. Gary Myers had a very interesting tweet the other day. I really, really started looking into that. And I happen to know the man who he's talking about, Curtis Martin, who's a legendary figure in New York football history. He's a Hall of Fame. I was at his induction ceremony. I was at his private party. Have nothing but respect and love for Curtis Martin. He's a class guy, class act, well respected in everything he does. Still involved in football, trying to be part of owner. I know he's, still involved in that. I don't know what his actual title is at this point or what he's doing, but I could easily see him starting that. That would be a good start to Woody. You want to get somebody in his ear, that would be more of a powerful guy, because think about the persona of Curtis Martin. The persona of Curtis Martin holds himself so well, speaks so elegantly, is when you look at him, he dresses to the T. He's just always put together. If you know Curtis, he's very, very, Curtis is courtesy. He's courteous. He's that type of guy. And he's knowledgeable, obviously, of football. He's well respected in the football community, right? He's a Hall of Famer. So I would seriously consider Curtis Martin being at the top of that food chain. He's not all, and that is a New York Jet. He's a New York football Jet, Hall of Famer. So you can start right there. You don't have to look too far. He get my vote. I'm in on Curtis. And you go from there. The one thing you have to do, and as far as GMs, do you know enough about the GM position to actually start picking guys? The only guy that I would say that probably has a real mindset that comes to mind for me would be Louis Riddick. He's a powerful guy. Smart guy, personnel-wise. but I don't know enough of general managers that are out there. Jerry Reese is out there. He hasn't had an opportunity in quite some time. There's guys out there, but there's not a lot. You have to be in that circle in the executive branch to really know all those guys. As a fan, you don't really know all those guys. You could bullshit and say maybe you do. You really don't know. You don't know. You're a fan. We're not privy to all of that. So that's, I could easily see him would be a smart move to start with Curtis Martin because he's a Jet.
Well, just the idea of bringing someone like Curtis Martin in, whether it's him or someone suggested Pete Carroll before, like bringing in a football person to help Woody pick candidates, ask the right questions during these interviews. The Commanders last year had new ownership. Josh Harris brought in Rick Spielman, former GM of the Vikings, as a consultant to help him. He brought in Bob Myers, who was the GM and architect of the Warriors dynasty before he stepped down. Not even in the same sport, but knows what winning looks like. Like, Curtis Martin would be great because he's a Parcells guy. He knows what winning is supposed to look like. Like, these are the things you could do to try and restore a little faith in ownership, that they have a process to try and get the right people.
He would listen. That would be a feather in his cap if he hired Curtis Martin.
Yep.
You start at the top, and you got Curtis Martin, part of your football operations, one of the bigger ends. You have to figure out, is he the head of football operations? That's yet to be determined. That wouldn't be a bad way to start. But I will tell you this. When I start hearing Aaron Glenn coming to the Jets because he's a Jet, Aaron Glenn is a good defensive coordinator for a short period of time. He's putting his time in. I wish Aaron Glenn all the best in the world. He's a Jet. He's doing well. I'm rooting for him with the Detroit Lions. I do not want Aaron Glenn as my head coach. I want, not that I have anything against Aaron Glenn, I want a guy that has done it before. I need someone with a pedigree that has won in this league, which comes to mind. I told you this last week, Mike Vrabel. I don't believe Mike Vrabel will come yet. John Gruden. Bingo! Bingo! There it is. John Gruden. That would be a good way to start.
It's J-E-T-S, Jets. I love Fireman Ed, too.
GM in here that's going to go hand in hand with that's where the problem is. I don't know enough about the GM position to know who would match up with a guy like John Gruden. You know what I mean? Maybe, is it Louis Riddick? Could Louis Riddick and John Gruden exist because they're both great football minds? Great football minds. I'm just putting it out there. You ask me, these are guys that I would consider bringing in.
Well, to your point, Ed, I look at the coaching role and I say you have to bring in someone with previous coaching experience this time around, because I'm sick and tired of guys learning on the job in the biggest media market in the world. And this job's too important. This team hasn't made the playoffs since 2010. They need to get someone in here that will immediately change the culture inside that building, immediately hold guys accountable. So I look at Vrabel. I look at Gruden. Another name I'll mention. He's from Brooklyn. He has head coaching experience. He overachieved in Miami and then got run out of there because they tried to hire Sean Payton behind his back. Brian Flores is out there. Had a year under Tomlin after he got fired. Now is a DC for the Vikings the last 2 years, and they have built one of the best defenses in the league. They need to bring in people that have done it before instead of first-time coach. Typically, it's all been guys with a defensive background, and it hasn't worked. You got to try and bring someone in that actually has previous head coaching experience.
I agree totally with you, and I sure as hell hope they bring in somebody that has. But here's, once again, this is the problem. When they look at this circus of a article that was written by your owner, are they gonna hesitate? You know, like Belichick has a lot to say about Woody Johnson, right? But Woody Johnson just bought the team when he came. He just bought the team. What do you know about Woody Johnson? They all talk about Woody Johnson. Belichick didn't know anything about Woody Johnson. Woody Johnson wasn't even involved. He just bought the effing team. What are you talking about? When you see these articles, that's what it makes me nuts. When I start, he's killing Woody Johnson. Woody Johnson didn't even have any resume or anything. He just bought the team. So we can't talk about with Belichick. Now Belichick looks great because Woody hasn't done anything in the 25 years he's here. Okay? But don't go by Bill Belichick. He's the one that got Tom Brady and won the world championships. Did nothing before or nothing after. I mean, and didn't get a job last year. And he loves Fireman. Well, Fireman don't love him. Okay? He hates the Jets. He hates the Jets. I hate him. When you hate the Jets, I hate you. I love the green and white. I'd be like, it's family. It's family. Be telling me it's like you telling me you hate my family. That's not happening. Then we gotta take care of business. Then we gotta settle things. The way it is.
And let me ask you about Aaron Rodgers specifically. 6 games left, so of course things I guess could change here. But your thoughts on his future? Do you see him as the quarterback next year?
I want Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback next year. I think it'd be great for this new regime that comes in and probably will draft a kid, right? Whether I don't know what round they would do that because we don't know that yet at that point, and we don't know who's available as far as when we're going to draft. But they have Jordan Travis, who's been going under the helm of him and Tyrod Taylor, right? So in that frame, I'd love to see the quarterback room stay the same. You know, they're saying Aaron hasn't been Aaron this year, and I believe Aaron's hurt. There's no question about it. Aaron's not the reason we're losing the games. We're losing. We could be right in the middle of this thing if the kicker didn't shit the bed, and our defense had any kind of balls. But when you hear guys like Bart Scott say they're soft, that's a tough word that goes around the NFL. When you say soft for the greatest players in all of football, you're an NFL player. When you get that label, that's tough. And you, as the diehard Jet fans that we are, do you look at our defense and what do you think? What do you think when you look at our defense? When you see our defense, when you see where's the leader? Where's the guy that's holding everybody accountable? Where is he? I don't see him. C.J. Mosley would have been that guy, but he got hurt. Where is the leader? Quinnen Williams is a great guy. Love Quinnen Williams. Want him to be the face of the franchise, but Quinnen Williams is not a leader. You wouldn't call him a leader. He might be. He leads by example, but he's not that guy that, you know, there's the alpha in the room. He's not the alpha in the room. And, you know, and I'm not knocking Quinnen. I love Quinnen. I love him. He's just different. You know, he's got a milder temper. He's just a little different. That's all. It's nothing wrong with that. But there's got to be guys that are alphas in the room. And I don't think they have an alpha in that room because I'm watching this sport a long time. And we've had a lot of disappointments. But I'm going to tell you something. When they fired Salah, to watch a unit in particular, the defensive unit in particular, fold their tent after that, and it's evident with the numbers, just looking at the numbers. I'm not making it up. We watched the games. How they just folded. I'm more amazed at that because you're a pro. You're a pro. Like, I don't understand. Guys have just went into the tank. Sauce Gardner went into the tank. You know, I mean, Sauce is a lockdown corner. He's like in La La Land. He's unsure of himself. That one play, just what you see at the end of the game in Colt game, showed you all you needed to know that he's confused and unsure of himself.
Lacks confidence. Yep.
The confident level is, and it's so evident there, you know, and he's such a talented kid. And you know what's even sadder? The kid is a great kid. He's a great kid. You can see he's a great kid. Sauce is a great kid, and he's letting all this bullshit with the social media and all of that. He's too involved in it, and it's gotten into his brain, and that's all a learning curve for him. He'll be stronger and better for it as time goes on. But unfortunately for us, these are all things that are killing us. They're the reasons we're losing games, right? I mean, they should have won that game Sunday. They're talking about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers put up 27 points in that game. You get 27 points in the NFL, you should win. Rodgers said we should have got 30 because you know why? He doesn't trust the defense.
Well, that's why they should have went for it on the 4th and 2. I mean,
and he wanted to, and
Yep.
all things you hear afterwards, which drives you even more nuts because you're at the game and losing your mind, because they made a lot of good plays, man. Yeah, that second half and going into just before this, the last drive of the first half and the second half. I mean, you should have won that game, bro. You don't lose that game. You're at home, and you know what, Jake? The crowd was into it. There was more people than I thought. There was about 70,000 people there. There's probably maybe 12 to 15,000 no-shows. But it was a good crowd. It was definitely a good crowd. There's no question. Anybody that was there will tell you that.
What do you think the crowd will be like out of the bye now with the Devils firing 3 and 8?
No, this crowd is stunned. Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they be? I mean, you can't blame the Jet fans. They're negative. They're disappointed. They're disgusted. Well, there's so many different. You could put a word on a lot of it. There's a lot of different adjectives you could use. I mean, come on, man. It's been brutal. It's been absolutely brutal. And what are they at home? I think they won 2 games at home, right? They won 2. They won 1.
They won the 2 Thursday night games.
Yeah, the 2 Thursday night games. Yeah, we won 2 games at home. So it's pathetic. Fan base has been there. The fan base is, the fan base has always been there. I told you that. There's 50, 60,000 out of diehards. They come every week. It just by hook or crook. I talk to them in the parking lot. You got all the diehards that just so frustrated and so just shaking their head and it's tough to be a Jet fan. Tough to be a Jet fan. There's no doubt about it. It's tough to be a Jet fan. It just is.
I know.
It's very, very, very tough. But I give all the fans such credit because in life, being a New York City fireman, adversity is your middle name when it comes to the fire department. So, you have to withstand all of the tragedies that come along because you got a job to do, and it brings out character in you, right? And you learn as you go along. And, the guys that I worked with were, like I said, it was a little pimple on their ass. And it made me a man. It made me a tough guy because I learned. And it's the same way as a Jet fan. And, you just go through all of this adversity. And you just hope that you can come out on the other side. And we thought that this year. We thought that was going to be the year. We finally will be rewarded for all of our disdain and we've just been beaten down as a fan base, And so I love all the fans because they withstand it. I think Jet fans are the strongest fans in the world. I believe that because we've gone through so much. We remember one thing. Detroit and Cleveland, which we would be compared to, have their own stadium. They have their own stadium. We don't have our own stadium. Think about all the things we don't have. And yet we're wayward souls. We share a stadium with the Giants. They won 4 Super Bowls and went to 5. We've never been to a Super Bowl when we've been tenants with them. Okay? Start there. Just start there. So you talk about heart and desire and loving your team. What more as a Jet fan can you endure than what we've gone through? And we're doing it right in the midst of it right now. Right in the midst of it. The guy that owns the goddamn team
is allegedly involved in the day-to-day football operations. What are we doing? What are we doing? He's involved in the football operations day to day. This is why you hire these guys. Do you think Joe Douglas is going to be obscure? Do you really believe that, Jake? Are you kidding me? Joe Douglas is going to land on his feet. Joe Douglas is a good football man, okay? Along with Rex Hogan and Chad Alexander, okay? I don't want to hear that shit, all right? Those guys were football guys, all right? They made one bad move, Zach Wilson. And
and hiring the coach ultimately did it because Douglas, the record's horrible, but it goes beyond that because there's good players on the scene that are still going to be here for whoever takes over next.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that. That's coming up too.
The trade request you're saying, yeah.
All those young bloods are looking at all this nonsense. That's why what you said earlier is so important for the future of this organization. When we talk about all the talent that we have, this team is not talent laden. This team has a ton of talent, where in the past we didn't. So that's going to be something that football minds are going to look and say, look, there is plenty of base there. The problem is he has to make a statement, I believe. Woody Johnson has to make a statement with what just went on with this athletic. He has to address that. He has to address his fan base and say he's not going to be involved in the day-to-day and hire the right football minds. All right? He needs a leader. Start at the top, Woody, with Curtis Martin. That would be a good choice. That would be a good choice for him to be involved in this football operations. All right? That would start it. And it would give the fan base a little bit, whoa, it's a Hall of Famer. Something that I didn't agree with this guy is I felt that he should have a lot of our alumni more involved than he does. He has them around, but he doesn't have them in the day-to-day. He should have these guys should be involved. You got Nick Mango was dying to be involved in that. All right? There's plenty of guys that we have that would love to be involved in our day-to-day operation, okay? And love the Jets. They are Jets. They're Jets. So, this is a real turning point for Woody. Is Woody just going to go off and go to London? What is exactly going to go on? If that's your case and you're so politically tied, okay, Woody, then give it up to your brother and let your brother do it, or sell the team. But you can't do both. You cannot do both. You owe it to the fan base to make a decision 365, 24/7. You owe this to our team. You owe it to the fan base. You owe it to the New York football fan base. The New York football Jet fan base. You owe it to us. Be all in or get out. All in. I'm calling it now. All in or get out. We love them as much as you, probably more. Show us what you're going to do. We need this. Listen, I know you want to win, you and Christopher, but the bottom line is you got to be all in. All in. Not half in. Not half in. All in. We deserve it as fans. We deserve that.
Super chats. Cut the line around here. Robert says, save us, Ed, and become the Jets head coach. I'd take that. I'd put Fireman Ed in the interview room with the GM candidates. I'd like that. Neil writes in.
Football knowledge that these guys have. I don't have the football knowledge these guys have. I have the heart and desire. I'll compare my heart and desire to anyone in that room.
I'm with you. Boomer said he watched A-Rod's tape, said he definitely has a left leg injury that's affecting his mobility. If the bye helps him get healed, he'll be a different QB the last 6 games. Keep him. As far as
I
Rodgers
agree.
goes, Ed, I think. Look, I think it's unlikely he's here next year if you just look at like the long-term ramifications of keeping him around from a cap standpoint with a new regime. That said, if he still has 6 games to play well down the stretch and make it at least a conversation for a new GM and coach to say, hey, what if Aaron's the bridge quarterback next year and we draft a guy that sits behind him, and then you have Jordan Travis and a rookie you drafted and you figure it out after that. I still think that's on the table, but he's going to have to play out. He's going to have to play a lot better over the next 6 because what we've seen is not – you can't justify it now to bring him back based on what we've seen these last 2 games.
Yeah, but, Jake, his numbers aren't bad.
Yeah, but the advanced stuff concerns me, right? He's not throwing downfield. He's like 26 in efficiency.
And that's why I do think he's hurt.
Right. I do think he's hurt too. I agree.
But I'm going to tell you something, Jake, when they talk about getting rid of him, you had to – listen, Jake, I'll always listen to people that tell me we got to get rid of Aaron Rodgers if you have an answer. If you don't have an answer, shut up, because just getting rid of everybody doesn't work, okay? We have to look at the future, all right? First off, Aaron's going to cost us some money, whether he's here or not. We have ramifications of getting rid of Aaron Rodgers.
Here are the ramifications, right? Because it's more drastic if he's here next year, right? So if they decide to move off of Rodgers after the season, they're going to owe $49 million in dead cap, whether they do it in all in 1 year or spread it out over 2. It's $14 million next year. It'd be $35 in 2026. If they keep him, Ed, for next year, that number then becomes $63 million, either all in 1 in 2026, or you spread it out, $21 million in 2026 or $42 million in 2027. So if you're going to keep Rodgers for next year, does it potentially justify 2027 dealing with a $42 million dead cap hit? He hasn't played well enough to justify that 2 years from now, which is why I think these next 6 games are so important. I
didn't realize that still goes into effect, the $63 million in 2026 and $42 million.
So it's $63 million all in 1, or it'd be $21 million in 26 and $42 million in 27.
That's if he's on the roster. If he's
for
not
next
on
year,
the roster,
correct.
If he's not on the roster next year, you have a dead cap of $49 million?
Yes, which they could spread out if they want over 2 years, or just take it all in 1, like what Denver is doing with Russell Wilson.
So if he comes back next year, you will owe that money, and then you owe another $63 million the following year?
If Rodgers is on the 2025 Jets, if they decide after 2025 to move on from him, it's $63 million dead cap that they could take all in 2026, or do $21 million in 2026, and then the rest of that, the $42 million in 2027.
I understand. So it's a total. So it's like $100 million.
Well, no, it's one or the other. It's either $49 million if they move off this year, or it's $63 million if they give him another year. It goes up. The longer you keep Rodgers, the more dead cap you eventually have to do.
I understand. So it's another. In other words, it's another $13 million, another $14 million if you keep him, because it'll go into the following year.
Yes.
Totals here, $63 million.
63 if he's on the
team. That's a total of 2 years.
Well, yeah, it's 2026, or they could do $21 million in 26 and then $42 million in 2027. Either way, it's $63 million on your cap. Either way.
I understand that, but that's over a 2-year period. Your quarterback, it means it's $30 million a year.
It's just a matter of Rodgers next year, $23 million cap, which is fine. That's not the problem. It's just, if you're only looking at him like he's a bridge quarterback,
yeah,
couldn't Tyrod do that for $8 million?
We're basically fucked is what we are.
If you want to bring him back, I think his play has to be a lot better to justify bringing him back.
I mean, that's obvious. That is obvious. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. You're talking about it. It's this thing just is a disaster, because think about what we were talking about before the year.
Yeah, we're talking about a coach and GM and quarterback on November 21st.
We're talking about something totally different, something we didn't even want to discuss, because that wasn't in the plans. And then you got your owner going, I don't know if he's going senile. I don't know what the hell's happening. I mean, he all of a sudden it's out of character that he's doing what he's doing this year. I mean, they don't have any proof that he did this in the past. Have you heard this in the past? None of these beat writers have ever said he's been involved in the team.
Not where we're talking about Tony Adams being
It's
benched.
It's day to day. You're talking about day to day operations. Come on. That's why you have to address it, because you didn't hear this in the past. It'd be different if we heard this in the past. All right? And this would have been in the forefront well before today, well before this week. That's where my problem is. That's why that whole article makes me say is it correct? He has to handle this. He's got a couple of things he needs to do for this fan base. He just has to. He listen, at some point he has to talk and say what's going on. He owes it to the fan base. He owes it to this fan base. You know, they've been loyal. They've been loyal. I mean, you see all the season ticket holders bailing. I mean, I know a ton of them that are not renewing their seats.
I haven't met anyone who is renewing, and you know, I have the biggest Jet following on the internet here. Right? I mean, every caller I've had has been a season ticket holder saying they're not renewing. And can you blame them? Your tickets by November every year are worth 80% less than what you're paying on a per game basis.
No, you know, I understand the people are going. You know, they're saying, I'll buy them as they go along.
Right. And they're asking for more money next year. You don't know who the GM is, the coach, the quarterback, and they're gonna raise prices.
And you're paying in November of this year.
It's insane.
It's insane. And they're letting it depends where you sit. There's certain people that let you give $100 to confirm you're going to be in. All right. You hear those stories, right? So, and then you can pay in January or February. But you lock in. But that depends where you are. If you're in a better seat, no, you got to give that money. You got a 6-month installment, or you can pay up front. So, you know, that's things they're not telling you. You know, so it's you know, I said my piece with that. That's a disgrace. You're gonna charge the fan base. Charge them after the season. You know, start it. You want to start as early as February? Okay, that's sure as hell better than during the season of a season. I mean, what are you doing? What? I told you last week, the people that are involved with that in the marketing department need to be fired. And I don't like to see anybody lose their job. But when you do that, you don't have the pulse of the fan. You have no idea. That one of the biggest problems with this organization, and I mean this, is they don't have the pulse of the fan.
No.
They just don't. Because when you look at it and you go to other venues, Jake, and we said this last week, when you go to other venues, you go to all of these other cities that are real football towns that are successful, you know, they're just run right. Their day-to-day operation and their game day experience is totally different. Totally different than what we do. We're in a club. We're in a nightclub. It's constant entertainment. It's like, it really is like part nightclub, part 3-ring circus. It's like, that's what it is. It's 2 things in one. I figured it out. I'm looking at it. I'm going, you know, it's unbelievable. You know, when we get a momentum, we score a touchdown, and we go up in front, and you see the momentum is so crazy, right? You would think that they would go to the, you know, me, Scotty, Jetman, to get the place in a tizzy, like just a free-for-all. It should be the fan base. They should be showing the interaction of all of us, not me, all of us, and the insanity. Instead, they go to music and they go to responsa, and they go to music and they go to responsa. It's unbelievable. Like, what transpires there is insane. Where you go to Pittsburgh, you think that's what they do? Listen, I told you last week, they can't wait for the Stick song to come out. I mean, that's just, Renegade is like, forget it. Renegade is, you know, but there's more than that. They're not just that. There's so many different things, interaction that they do with the fans to make it between the terrible towels, and it's just insane. It's football. It's all about football. We should be able to have that. We don't have that. We just don't. It's incredible, and it trickles down. It just trickles down, and that's where I believe Woody just does not have the pulse of the fan. He just doesn't.
No. And he has people around him that yes man him to death. It feels like no one actually.
They're afraid.
Yeah, it's terrible.
They're afraid for their jobs. I believe they're afraid for their jobs. I don't think there's any question about it. And I would too if that's what I put my whole life into. And I have friends there that I love that run some of the different things in the Jet organization, and I feel for them because when you have a family to take care of, and so they're limited to what they can say. It's not like it's a union. They get fired. They get fired. So I fully understand.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. There's over 600 of you watching live. More importantly, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, we'll be here every day. Hit that subscribe button as we talk Jets daily. Tyrone says the media always hates on the Jets and loving AR failing. I pray this team and AR can put on a show and dominate the last 6 games. We're Jet fans. We live and die with them. Go Jets. Bring back AR. Look, I really think what Rodgers looks like over the next 6 can influence a lot. So gun to my head, I don't think he's here next year as the quarterback, but if he looks good down the stretch, there might be a coach who says, well, why not have him back? He's our best option. And then we could start drafting someone behind him and figuring out the long term. But I think these next 6 tell us a lot.
That would be what you just said, Jake, would be the best scenario for us moving forward.
I agree with that.
Is Aaron Rodgers plays well.
If he's healthy, because I agree. I think he's struggling right now because he's not the same Rodgers we saw against the Pats in that home opener when he was moving. Yeah.
But he still has the arm strength. His arm
he does. But he doesn't want to throw downfield now, which I wonder how much of that is the hamstring not letting him push it downfield.
There's no question about it because you got to push off. So Boomer Esiason has so much more knowledge because he has the inside track. He's in that whole circle. We're not in that circle. Boomer earned it, and Boomer, he's got his people. And so when he's talking, I always listen to Boomer because Boomer's usually right when he says something. And when he's not, he owns it. So, I don't have a problem. I love Boomer. I love what Boomer has to say. So I believe there's absolutely something to that. And I'd love to see Aaron Rodgers light it up the last 6 games. I don't give a rat's ass where we're picking. I'll worry about that when it happens. We go through this shit every year. We went, what was the classic one? Was the one with the Rams when we could have lost the game and we would have had Trevor Lawrence. How's that working out?
Yeah, that whole class is terrible.
No, but all those fans were like, that's all we heard. That's all we heard.
Yeah.
Where are they? They're all hiding. Where are they hiding behind the keyboard? I don't see any of them.
It just shows you nobody knows. It's all a crapshoot in the draft.
It's you know what, Jake? I actually did this summer. I got to pull it up the next time. I did the last 25 years of quarterbacks drafted in the first round. So I went back and looked at all the quarterbacks and kind of put how did they do? Did they win a world championship? Did they have a good career, average career? And basically what I wanted, either won a world championship or you really had a really good career. And I think it was 33%.
Yeah.
33%, 66%, 67% didn't have a good career. So 2 out of 3 guys that drafted in the first round didn't pan out, didn't have any kind of, no real noticeable career. And that is telling in itself because these are the greatest football minds can't get it right. All right. When you look at these guys, look at how Patrick Mahomes dropped to 10 and Kansas City goes up and trades for him. Think about it. Like Andy Reid see something in him, but there's plenty of guys. There's plenty of guys that seen things in other guys and they didn't pan out. Most of them don't pan out. Not do pan out. They don't pan out. 2 out of 3 of them don't pan out. I'm going to take those numbers. You go, if you get a chance, go look at the last 25 years. I went back 25 years and look at all the guys, and I think I'm pretty sure I thought I seen it was like 33%.
That sounds right. Hey, I mean, look at the entire 2021 draft class. All of them. Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, Fields, Mac Jones, all of them. It's unbelievable.
And you talk about all the pundits that was saying, he's a no-brainer. He's a no-brainer, you know? I mean, you love to go back on these guys, you know, when you're talking. You know, it's not that simple. There's a reason. I mean, look at the greatest, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. 6th round pick. 6th round pick. Think about that. The Patriots had no idea what Tom Brady was. That was a shot in the dark.
Of course.
Shot in the dark. The Niners picked Joe Montana 3rd round. I mean, think about the guys these are the best quarterbacks of all time. Dan Marino went the 2nd to last pick with the Dolphins in the 1st round that year. There was, I think, 30 teams at that time. I think he went 20. I think there was only 29 picks. I think he was 28. Somebody didn't have a 1st round, if I'm not mistaken. I think Dan Marino went either 28 or 29, maybe 30. He went. There was the only team that couldn't get a shot at Dan Marino was the Redskins because they played them in the Super Bowl. That was it. So think about that. And Dan Marino. So everybody had a shot at him. Everybody. And there was, I think, 4 or 5 quarterbacks picked in that draft. I think that was the 83 draft. I think that was.
Yep.
That was with Elway and Ken O'Brien and Tony Eason from the New England Patriots. I think Todd Blackledge was in there. I think those were the guys that were all there. Elway didn't. He was one. He was like Eli Manning. He was the only. Those two are the only ones that didn't go to the teams that they were drafted in history. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm anxious to see this kid Manning that's coming out from Texas not this year, next year. Watch that whole act.
Well, you might see it this year too with Shedeur Sanders, Deion's kid.
Where do you see that whole act? Okay, they're privileged. You'd be honored to go to an NFL team. You're picking and choosing where you're going. That's bullshit. I don't believe that shit. No how, no way.
You're going to see it, though. I think you're going to see it.
You're going to see it. I think you're going to see it with Sanders, and I think you're going to see it with that's going to be a way of life now because that's the life we live.
You're right. Ed, let me rapid fire through some super chats here before we say goodbye. I appreciate your time this morning. Tony says, help fill these positions with these Jet legends. President, GM, head coach, OC, DC, Fireman Ed, Bart Scott, Curtis Martin, Coach Herm, Jake Asman. Appreciate it. Tony. Fiore says, go get Gruden. He would change the culture. If he wants Rodgers for a year, all good. He could draft his future quarterback and let him bring in a staff.
I agree with you totally, Fiore. Totally. I agree totally with that.
Yep. Dark Knight Steve says, for the rest of the season, let's have the Lane Train coach and Bobby Midnight be the GM. Those are two of my legendary callers. We can make decisions on the show in real time. Now, that's entertainment. I'm so depressed. I hate myself for loving the Jets. Thanks for the content, Jake and Ed. Let me tell you something. Dark Knight Steve.
Being a Jet fan, Dark Knight Steve.
One of the great Jet fans.
Better days are ahead.
He was out in London with me, Ed. He was out in London. He made the trip to across the pond to watch that bleep show.
Stevie, you're a real fan. I know it's disheartening. Believe me. I feel the same way as you, but you know what? When you love something, you never stop loving them, bro. That's the way it is.
Louis says, Jake, what happens next season? Is Rodgers gone? Do we cut him, eat the dead cap? So what do we do at QB? I don't know what to think anymore. I'm lost. I think it's impossible to know when they don't have a GM or coach right now, and there's 6 games left. A lot changes with 6 games. So let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen.
Bang Mateo says, Ed, let go of AR. Go sign a free agent quarterback, Justin Fields, draft a kid in the 2nd round. I don't love Justin Fields, but I think if you had Tyrod Taylor, Jordan Travis, and a rookie, I mean, that's not the worst idea if there's someone they like that they could develop.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out. Yeah. I mean, like I said, my first choice is to have Aaron back, and
I think it'd be a nice quarterback room for the future for the kids that are going to be in that quarterback room. So we'll see where it goes.
Mac Daddy, Super Chat, you hit on it, Ed. The Jet game experience has been homogenized and corporized. I pine for the days of the original chant going end zone to end zone. Everything scripted, nothing organic, authentic New York anymore.
Mac Daddy, you are so right. So right. And the fans don't understand if you're not at the game. See, I understood. That's why they would get mad at me. You know, people that were mad at me that I wanted screen time. That wasn't it. It was if you're at the game and you're at a home game, you know what's going on there. And everybody sees it. It's so evident. They've gone away from everything. It's everything but the fans. It's everything but the fans. It's T-shirt contests. It's all. It's a 3-ring circus and a nightclub all in one. 3-ring circus and a nightclub. That's how you would describe the Jet game. Let's just end it. Here come the Tigers. Here come the Elephants. That was a great moment. That was in the Buffalo game. After that game, losing Aaron and winning the friggin' game.
No, that was that was actually the Eagles game last year.
Oh, it was
over the
Eagles?
Eagles. Yeah.
That was another. That was a great one. That was Adams, the interception. Get all those meatheads, those Eagle nasty.
And that's who Woody wants sitting, by the way. Tony Adams. He all of a sudden Woody Johnson understands, the art of safety play, and Tony Adams can't play in the secondary. I mean, what are we doing?
I wonder if that article is real or not.
Tony Adams was benched, and Jeff Ulrich, when asked about it, said, "You rather not get into it." I mean,
Woody has to address it. Well, I tell you, Woody needs to listen. That's it. All starts right there. Woody's under fire big time. He needs to address it, and he needs to be 365, 24/7, not be political. And you want to own the team, or otherwise give it up to Christopher and let him do his magic.
It's unreal, Ed. I appreciate you hopping on, man. This was a great therapy session for an hour. And
you're gonna do.
What else are we gonna do?
We're still gonna be fans, and we're gonna still love them. It was I will tell you this is the most depressing, disappointing season in the 51 years that I'm a season ticket holder. This is hands down the most disappointing and depressing season that I've ever experienced. I had big hopes. I thought Aaron Rodgers and that team was going to win us a world championship. I really felt that way. Felt that way wholeheartedly. And it's disappointing, but it doesn't sway me from loving the green and white. I'll always love the green and white. Always. I wish Woody Johnson loved the green and white the way I do and Jake does and the rest of this fan base. I wish you loved them like we do. Because if you did, it'd be 365, 24/7. Nothing else matters but the New York Football Jets. Come on, Woody.
Let's go. Ed, on the way out, tell people about Fireman Ed Lager and the charity work all the funds go to.
Fireman Ed. Look at that face.
Let's go.
A mother could love. Face only a mother could love. Anyway, you got a QR code in here. Let's see. Where do we got it? There it is. The QR code. John Monhay, Norfolk, Virginia. New York Jet football fan. The whole family is. His father's a career Air Force veteran. Great family. He had a tragic accident. Broke his neck diving off of a boat. He's trying to walk again. He's a huge Jet fan. He loves the Jets like we do. Let's help him out. Anything you could do. Find it in your heart. Few dollars. QR code. John Monhay. Love the Monhay family. We need more Jet fans like the Monhay family. Will, Sam, John. All right? Let's go. Go Jets.
There we go. QR code right there, everyone. You can just also just Google
Thank
Fireman
you,
Ed Lager.
Thank you, Jake.
Ed, you're the best. Hang in there, all right?
All right, pal. You be well.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Fireman Ed in his weekly spot on the show. And, man, is he right about Woody Johnson needing to come out and say something? Because if you say nothing, that's almost an indication that everything is true, right? And even if you come out and just do a mea culpa, I'm sorry the year is the way it is. It's unacceptable. I'm distraught by it, and I will work to bring in the right people to get this franchise back on track. It's not going to change people's perception right away, but address it. Address your fans. You're 3-8 with an all-in season. You fired the coach after 5 games because you felt like the team needed a spark. You've been 1-5 since. Unacceptable. Some super chats I want to get into here. JT, thinking is overrated. So is winning.
You know, thinking is overrated.
At least that's how it feels. Super chats keep coming in. Fiore says, go get Gruden. He changed the culture if he wants Rodgers. Oh, we already read that one. Eric says, how much would it take to get Trevor Lawrence? I don't want Trevor Lawrence. I'm okay. I think it would take a lot. And he's also under contract, so I'm good. Now, this is a weird one from Story Lynn. Why are people so mad at Woody? I don't understand. You don't understand why people are upset at an owner who clearly meddled in the season, and the season went up in flames. Everything changed when Gino got his jaw broke. Woody cut cheerleaders to pay for more play. What a weird super chat. Now, Story Lynn, I'm a capitalist, so you're $5. I mean, 2 subway rides right there almost. I mean, I love it. This is an odd comment. Everything did not change when Gino got his jaw broke. You know when everything changed for the Jets? When they continued to miss on quarterbacks they drafted in the top 3. Specifically, this previous regime, right? Joe Douglas drafting Zach Wilson and missing on him. That's when everything changed, because that set off a chain reaction to everything they had to now do to try and rectify that big mistake. Story Lynn, Gino was due for a breakout 2015. I mean, you know what Ryan Fitzpatrick did in 2015? Had the greatest single season a Jet quarterbacks had. You could argue. Certainly one of them. And then the team won 10 games and still blew it. I'm mad with Jet Media. You bash Woody and want to get rid of Rodgers. Best offense we have in years. All right. Story Lynn, appreciate it. 2 $5 super chats. But we got to be fair around here. We hold people accountable for nonsense. 25. Fun fact, Boomer went to my high school. Shout out to East Islip. There you go. Dan writes in, what is Olbrich taking a hard look at the bye? I don't know. Maybe updating the resume? Tommy's, I missed the flight crew. Said no one ever. Yeah, I love that. Woody's paying paying players more by getting rid of the cheerleaders. No, he's not. Based on what? Bo, I don't know if my heart can survive another nightmare game. I mean, at this point, if they lose, whatever. I mean, they're 3-8. Helps draft positioning. If they win, great. I do want the team to win some games here down the stretch. I don't need every young player on this team requesting a trade this offseason and dealing with that. You finish 3-14, that might happen. Jason says, get Rich Bisaccia, loved by his players, and he won. You can interview him. I don't know if I'll get the job. I don't know. Peter says, Jake, everything changed when they hired this rotten coaching staff. Yeah, I mean, the coaching staff's bad. That's why they're all going to be gone. All right, open phone lines if anyone wants in on the conversation. We'll do a few calls here. Tom Ace writes in, this franchise went all down since Jen Sturger received a certain picture from a certain quarterback. What a season that was, huh? At least Favre gave us an 8-3 start, and we had false hope that year. Now with the Jets, we're 3-8. Dark Knight Steve says, Gary can work for Allen, and we just film it 24/7. Yes. Curly Norman, who's actually a sociopath, says we have to talk about nonsense instead of actual football games. You love it, Curly. Curly's addicted to the Jets. Loves to be miserable. Curly's having the best season of his life. He bathes in his own filth every night. So this season's a dream for him. I know you love this, Curly. You love it. You sicko. You can't get enough of the losing. You need the losing. It feeds you and your family. You love it. You love it, Curly. You love it. Dark Knight Steve says, I'm all in making Allen head of Jets recruiting. Yes, Allen should be in the meetings with Woody, identifying GM candidates. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Allen with a great point. Curly drove V-Man to a game. He deserves some happiness. He does. He's a great guy. He loves the losing. He loves being a loser. It's his calling card. If you're one of the 570 people in here right now, you better be subscribed to the channel, baby. We need all the support we can get during these trying times. No one has gifted a membership yet, so I will do so. See if we can make someone a member here. While I get that situated, let's go to our first caller of the show. Let's say hello to Sergi. He's first today. Hey, Sergi.
Hey, Jake. How's it going?
What's up, Sergi?
Interesting conversation with Fireman Ed. I think he's one of the real ones. I appreciate him being humble enough to say like he shouldn't be the GM. I think that's I appreciate that. Woody in spirit owes us an apology or a conversation or whatever, but I think it's never going to happen in reality. The Jets are a privately held company, not a publicly traded entity on the stock market. Also, I kind of like went into the Woody's net worth, which is about $3.4 billion, according to Bloomberg. And the Jets are worth
oh, here we go, baby. Bad internet for life. Sergi, try and call back, man. Your internet got the best of you. Ladies and gentlemen, I have come through for the people. One membership has been gifted. Congrats to listener NY Jets DH. You just received a channel membership, baby. Boom. Open phone lines for anyone who wants in. The link is pinned in the chat. Call in. We'll get you right on the show. There's not a single person on hold right now. Meaning if you call in this second, you immediately get on the show. That is rare. That is rare. So we present to you the opportunity to get on. Antonio says, I've seen a couple of articles about Curtis Martin being named the GM candidate. I don't think Curtis Martin would be the GM. He would be the president of football operations. He would basically help the Johnson family pick the GM and coach. That's where we're at. Boomtown says, Jake, there are more members of the coaching staff I think deserve criticism, and that's Ron Middleton. Ruckert's development has been non-existent. Tight end plays subpar, and Kuntz stuck on practice squad. Kuntz, I just don't think is any good. He was a 7th-round dart throw for a reason. Ruckert's been disappointing. I thought he'd take a bigger step in year 3. It hasn't happened, unfortunately. Main event, why won't Woody hire a president of football ops? Now's the perfect time. Maybe he will. And I think that's part of the reason why they did fire Douglas early. I'm sure they're looking into that. I hope they actually do it, though. We'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Kent is leaving the chat. Everyone say goodbye, Rick. Curly Norman writes in with a super chat. Curly, this is for you, baby. I want to win football games before I pass away. I'm tired of the BS. This team has made me a sociopath. I used to be Curly Normal. Live look of Curly typing this. Yeah, I get it, Curly. The pain never stops. We keep coming back for more. How's Mr. Bonesy doing today? I'm going to go pay him a visit later at the shoe store in Midtown. See how he's mourning the loss of Joey D. I love Bang saying Curtis Martin hasn't done anything. Neither have the Johnson family. Who do you trust more to identify a good general manager candidate? Woody or Curtis Martin? Bang. That's what we're talking about here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hamburger is up next on the show. Hello, Hamburger.
Boy, man, that was quick.
I said first person to call in gets right on, and you're the only one who called in. I guess people are sick of talking about the New York Jets. Sad.
Hold on one second. Let me go pause the feed. Hold on one second.
All right, here we go. Do we need to hit the bad Wi-Fi button? We might. Here we go.
Wi-Fi. I am back.
Oh, okay, he's back.
I had to stop the YouTube on the. I'm on my phone, so it was playing over. I just got out of the doctor, man. Did not get cleared to go back to work. I tried to, but unfortunately, fortunate for you, you get me another month. So, but I watched. Yeah, well, hey, I watched a bit of Fireman Ed when I was in the doctor, and then when I got back in the car. And I also listened to Boomer Esiason this morning on my ride in. I think he is right about Aaron. I definitely do think he's hurt. So I think that's why we're not seeing the Aaron that we've seen in New England. It's obvious, but still, even with that, I just don't see him coming back. Do I want him back? I would take him back, but I just don't see him coming back. I don't see him wanting to change a whole offense unless whatever coach they pick is willing to change a few things that fit him or whatever. But I don't know, man. I kind of see him moving on at this point.
The thing is, if he wants to play next year, go through the options of teams that would have him. Like, I can't find a team.
Yeah, you might be right on that. Maybe there is no place for him, and maybe he is willing to maybe change a few things on his end and learn a few new things. But I don't know. It's he might just bow out and retire, man. I don't know if he's going to want to do that because I don't think it really tarnishes his legacy. He's going to be a Hall of Fame player no matter what. But
yeah, it won't. I mean, does anyone remember Johnny Unitas at the end of his career, or Namath, or any of these guys who ended up being on different teams? Like, he's going to be known as a 4-time MVP, Super Bowl MVP with the Green Bay Packers. That's his legacy.
Correct. Yeah, this will be nothing in the history books. It'll just be memories of pain for us for eternity.
Yeah,
so
it's nothing.
No. But listen, Woody should come out and say something. At this point, he's got to come out and say something. Somebody's got to speak. I mean, it's been quiet ever since that article came out. I mean, at least come out and if some things weren't true, defend yourself. Like, defend yourself and at least tell us, like, hey, listen, this is where we're going in the direction of the franchise. At the end of the year, we're going to make a lot of changes. We're going to make wholesale changes. It's going to be a different franchise. Or he's moving on and Christopher's going to take the reins of the franchise. We need to know something. I mean, right now we don't know anything. It's a bye week. Everything's quiet. Nobody's spoken about anything unless I've missed something.
There's been nothing yet, and I do wonder if there will be anyone who comes out and speaks. That's the question.
I don't know. But who knows? Maybe Aaron will come on the show maybe today, or I don't know. I mean, he might be away at this point.
He's not doing McAfee this week because of the bye week.
I'd definitely like to hear from him right about now and see how he feels. But
I'll tell you how I feel, Hamburger. I feel bad. That's how I feel.
Yeah, well, I feel bad too. But I am excited of possible good changes for this organization. Hopefully they come our way. Hopefully we pick the right people to run this franchise and make the proper decisions, whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. We have a franchise that makes the playoffs and that we can get behind and enjoy watching football again.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We're going to have to sit it and wait it out for the next few weeks and next month or two until we get some clarity on what's going to happen. That's all we can do. It is what it is.
Hamburger, hang in there, man. Appreciate your time as always. Good call. Super chat FPP says Curly Norman is a great Jet fan. Oh yeah, great dude. Anyone who picks up V-Man and takes into a Jet game, God bless. Also, where's V-Man been? V-Man hasn't called the show in several days now. Texans Dominique says, who got fleeced more? Jets by Rodgers or Mets by Scherzer? Also Stingley greater than Ahmad. You know, as bad as this season has been, Dom, I do take great pride in the fact that you lost to the Jets. I can't lie. I enjoyed that night. For at least one night, we weren't an embarrassment, and it was against your goddamn team, baby. I would say Scherzer. I think Rodgers has not been nearly as bad as some have portrayed it. If he had the defense that the team had last year or the year before, or the special teams that the Jets had last year or the year before, they wouldn't be 3-8. They'd be 6-4 right now. 7-4 even. I really believe that. Like, they've lost multiple games based on their kicker and their defense allowing the following two quarterbacks to go 70 yards up their ass with the game on the line. Jacoby Brissett and Anthony Richardson. And you want to say Stingley's better than Sauce? I mean, look, Stingley's this year has been, no doubt. The thing with Stingley is he couldn't stay healthy his first 2 years. He's been healthy this year, right? Year one, he only played 9 games. Last year, he only played 11. He started all 11 games this year for Houston. Sauce has been better overall, though. I mean, we're talking about a 2-time All-Pro. So we'll see. I mean, if Sauce can't bounce back, then yes, Stingley, I guess, is better. But, you know, come find me when Stingley has 2 first-team All-Pros. More of your calls right now. We were wondering about this guy's well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, we go live right now to the shoe store.
The only way we can keep Joey D is winning out an impossible feat. Jake, my brother, I'm high as a kite. I love everybody. Man, this team is dog shit. What's up, buddy?
Bones, how we doing?
Just hanging on, man. Hanging on. Just picking up the pieces. Got a funny story. Yesterday, I'm at Walmart, and I got a new phone case. It doesn't keep my credit card in it, so I forgot my credit card in the car. And I'm ringing up my groceries. Just some, shit. I'm having a party for Lola. Her birthday's coming, so
happy almost birthday, Lola.
Yep. And I got like the cart that has the carriage with like the wheel that like the kids drive. So I got this big ass cart. And I forget my shit, and I got all my stuff ready. I'm like, oh man, let me run outside quick and get my cart. And as I'm going by, I turn and there's V-Man. V-Man's there packing up his groceries. I'm like, V-Man!
No way.
V-Man! He didn't hear me, right? And I got frazzled because I wanted to go get my credit card. So I saw he's like still in there. I go to my car, I get my car, and I go back in, V-Man's gone.
No, you had to go up there and get a picture. Come on.
I really screwed that up. So hopefully next time when V-Man's on, he'll confirm that was, because that was definitely V-Man.
Wow.
But I was kind of far away. I am blind, but I'm you don't miss V-Man. That's a good looking fella. That was V-Man, but I'm hoping he calls in soon so we can confirm that. But I really needed that hug too. I was hoping he was there. I could really use the hug from V-Man. So
yeah, he's a great hugger, a great sleeper, a great hugger. We love
it. He's a strong sleeper, a strong hugger for sure. Oh man, listening to Fireman Ed, it gets you sad. It gets you sad. Let me mute my camera. It gets you sad that we're all in this boat together of depression, and he's 100% right when he says that this is the worst season of our 10, with the hopes and the aspirations and how we all felt before the season and Rodgers. I would have bet anyone before the season a lot of money that it wouldn't have gone like this. And I don't know why I'm that stupid naive, but because we're the Jets and this is what we do. But
yeah, but even for Jet standards, this is a different level. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're the most cynical Jet fan or you're the morons like Nick Wright and all these other people out there, you didn't think this team would be 3-8. You just didn't. I don't buy it.
And it kills me that those are the type of guys that are right now, that they're getting the last laugh at us. It stings even more. One thing I will say that someone in the media that I actually respect and enjoy is Dan Orlovsky. He's been with us the entire time, all through even the Zach Wilson stuff. he had our backs. He was explaining why we're giving this guy a chance, and through the whole tenure, he's been.
He lost me
behind
the other
us.
day, though. He lost me the other day what he said about your guy JD.
That's why I respect him, because
Joe
he's
Douglas,
been.
I understand what the record says he is. This is a guy that has drafted Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Braylon Allen. He's drafted Jermaine Johnson, William McDonald, Michael Carter II, and he's fired? I mean, you have 7 really good NFL starters there. I'm not saying that he didn't have a miss or two here. Obviously, Zach Wilson is the one that is glaring. But for a general manager to draft that many high impactful players that are young and to get fired speaks to, well, there's a lot more going on that is negatively impacting the on-field performance rather than we're just devoid of talent. This is dysfunctional in New York after kind of seeing how this has all played out.
Oh, a miss or two. That's all Joe Douglas did wrong. Only a miss or two, right? No mention of the head coach he hired.
All he means is, when's the last time we've given somebody a contract that we drafted? Quinnen and what? Muhammad Wilkinson? We haven't drafted anybody good. We don't give people second contracts.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, Douglas is better than the previous 2 guys. Great. He's 30 and 64, and now we try again to do better than Douglas.
Which is going to be, as Gator stated in my video, an impossible feat. Because Joe Douglas is from a drafting. You know, we don't got to talk. I gave up. I'm already just burying it. You know, I'm sad. I still just think I'm with Fireman Ed. Woody should address this. There's way too much stuff that came out for him to not say anything. I don't think he will, but I would gain a little respect if he did, because, you know, when you're getting hit below the belt like he did in this article, he has to address it just to make us, you know, believe that he's capable of saving us. I also think I wouldn't mind bringing in Dorsey as a GM. He's somebody who's addressed talent before. He's a little older of a GM, but I wouldn't mind somebody with his pedigree that, you know, he's made picks before. He put his balls on and drafted Mayfield over Baker over everybody, and everyone was like, "Oh!" And you know, when you look back at it, besides it being over Lamar, it was probably the right move. I don't know. I like Dorsey, but we definitely. I think with the whole Rodgers thing, A, we have to see how it plays out, and B, let's see who comes in here and if they want him or not. If Rex Ryan gets the job, which I'm starting to lean towards, I don't know who else could get us out of this mess that has some veteran leadership on his resume that he's shown he can succeed in the NFL. I don't know, because I don't want to go the offensive coordinator. You know, Nick Shine keeps scaring me because he's like, "Oh, watch, we're going to sign the offensive coordinator from Tampa Bay," and you never heard of him. I really don't want to do that. I want someone with some, you know, that has a resume. So I don't know who besides Rex is going to come in and save us, but Rex Ryan will want Aaron Rodgers back. Like, if it's a veteran coach, they're not going to be stupid. They're going to want Aaron Rodgers playing again, unless like the next 6 games goes that bad that it looks like the first half of the Indy game and we score 6 points a game and it just crashes. But I'm just down, Jake. It's not even close to over, man. We just got so much shit to go through, so much season left. I don't know. Are you? I wanted to tell you I didn't get your shoeing yet, still, but you know, if you want to come give me a hug, I'm here, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mr. Bonesy. He's hanging in a couple days removed from JD Day. Douglas being fired. Sad. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe David White is a Texans fan. He says, Jersey Texans Dom needs to stay in Jersey. He's 0-20 when he shows up at Texans games in person. He cost us the Lions game. I mean, Jersey Dom is he's the jinx. The Texans will never win with Jersey Dom in attendance. It's a known thing. Main Event says, who would be your president of football operations candidates? I have Bill Cowher, Rick Spillman, Pete Carroll, John Dorsey. Carroll, Spielman. I don't even know you need to hire them as president of football ops. You know what they need? They should be brought in as consultants in the meetings with Woody, identifying candidates and helping with the process of interviewing guys. If they want to make one of those guys football ops, fine. Pete Carroll will be my choice out of the names you have on the screen. John Dorsey, I want as the actual GM. I texted with a longtime front office person the other day, and I asked him about the Jet job, and he said, that's not a job for first-timers. They need someone who's done it before, and I agree. I feel that way with the coach as well. Bo writes in, truth or dare, Jets win, out, next 6, or eat a stick of butter and pack of cigarettes, step on a salad, and wear cornrows for the remainder of the year. I don't think you're using truth or dare properly here. I think you mean, would you rather the Jets win out, or I think that would make sense. But I don't know. Bo, I appreciate what you're trying to do here. I respect it. Ladies and gentlemen, more of your calls right now.
Warning! Warning! Allen alert! Shit's about to get ugly, folks. Warning! Allen alert! Hide the children!
Hey, Jake, why are you a shitster? Why would you play that Dan Orlovsky tape to Bonesy knowing it's going to fucking rile him up? Come on. Come on, Jake. Be a better man than that.
It needed to be done, Alan. He brought up the comments Orlovsky made. I happen to have said comments ready, and the audience needed to hear it.
Jake, I like Ed, but the idea of Ed talking about bringing Aaron Rodgers back really lost me. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is washed. Why even bother waiting till 2027 and cut him then? Just get rid of him this year. I know you were talking about math and 2026 and 2027 cap. Just get it over with. Let him finish the 6 games and it's over. I don't understand why people want to bring him back. Again, let's retool.
There's still 6 games left, so I'm willing to at least see how the next 6 go if he's healthier post-bye. I don't think he's here next year, but all I'm saying is before we talk in a definitive way about this team, look how much has already changed in the last 5 weeks. So let's just see what happens these final 6 games.
But Jake, you don't want him back either.
If he looks good down the stretch, he's their best option next year while drafting a quarterback behind him would be my plan. But I want to see what it looks like.
But do you believe that he wants to play the role as mentor to a young quarterback, honestly?
If he wants to play football next year, he might not have a choice. Where's he going? That's giving him a chance to start.
Okay. All I have to say is, you know what? It's time. I don't want him back. It was a failed experiment. Unfortunately, he got hurt last year, 4 plays in. And this year, he's proven that he's not the same quarterback anymore. It's time to start retooling, rebuilding. And for anybody who says they want Aaron Rodgers back, what you see today might actually be worse if he comes back next year. Honestly, I truly believe it.
How could it be worse with better coaching and then a plan behind them where you're having either a rookie and then you have Travis there, or how about this for a novel concept, right? He's back next year with a modern offense that they're actually running.
Do you think he wants to play in a modern offense?
But I don't think you understand. It's not what he wants anymore.
I understand what you're saying, but you know what? This is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers follows the beat of his own drum.
Then they'll move on from him. They'll mutually agree it's time to move on. I don't think he's here next year, Alan, but I'm also not going to sit here and say it's decided already. There's 6 games left. We don't even know who the GM or the coach is next year. They're going to decide that.
Okay. Honestly, I think it's time to move on. And start looking at candidates. And hopefully it's time for Woody to actually face the fact that he needs true football personnel to make these decisions and not go the want ads and find somebody in a consulting firm. Just go find
who would be your ideal GM and coach candidate? That's realistic.
Realistic. I would love either a Dorsey or an Agnew. Either of those guys. I know that Ben Johnson's not coming here. The idea of Brian Flores interests me just for the fact that he has New York ties, but I have to understand more what happened between him and Tua. because that situation was really ugly before he left. That's the problem. I just need to know what happened because that ended so badly. I wonder if it really hurts him going forward. And also, doesn't he also have a lawsuit with the NFL? I believe is that true?
It's against specific teams. But the bottom line with the lawsuit is like it has no impact on him still being able to coach. He's a defensive coordinator in the league right now on his second team since he got fired.
That's true, but I worry about the relationship he had with Tua. That's something I'd like to know a little bit more about.
He was a hard ass on Tua, and Tua obviously felt like he was being bullied, and
he was. Unfortunately, I'd like to see us getting an offensive coordinator, an offensive mind as our next coach. And realistically, the only guy out there that actually would make sense would be a Gruden. I don't see any of the other offensive minds fitting our needs. And that's why I think, unfortunately, I think they're going to go get a defensive coach again, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think so. Vrabel's my number one. Flores is pretty high up there. If you tell me you got Brian Flores as the head coach and he's very close with Brian Dable and he gets fired and Dable's the OC, I'd love that. That'd be an awesome staff.
And one final thing about Vrabel, I think Vrabel stays in the state of Ohio, whether it's with the Browns or the Buckeyes. I think that's where he ends up.
Then I'll tell you what, if Kevin Stefanski's fired, he moves to the number one guy on my list. So there
I
you
can
go.
see that as well. Okay, have a good one. And please don't bait Bonesy anymore. It's time. It's done.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alan checking in. Coach James Rodriguez just became a channel member. Thank you, James. Appreciate you doing it the old-fashioned way. All right, I got time for one more call potentially here. Let's see if his internet is functioning. We go back to Sergi right now. Hello, Sergi.
Is that better? We good?
Yeah, so far so good, Sergi.
Okay, great. Now, we're out here in Westchester hanging lights. I have a lighting business, so rain or shine, we out here.
I respect it. Love it.
Yeah. So real quick, sorry, I know you have to go, but I did some digging on Woody's net worth. I was just kind of curious and like where his money comes from. And it's mainly the Jets. Like his Johnson & Johnson inheritance is a sliver of his overall net worth. So he's not selling. I mean, this is his thing and it's going to be passed down. And like with regards to like what Fireman was saying, does he owe us an apology? It'd be nice. Doesn't owe us anything. It's not a publicly traded company. Like we don't own stock. You know what I mean? Like it's his decisions. So I don't know. His net worth is $3.4 billion. The Jets are worth $7 billion, and the rest of it is, probably a sliver of stock from Johnson & Johnson. So I don't know. I think that it is what it is. We have to live with it as Jet fans. And when it comes to like the quarterback search, I completely agree with you. Like Aaron Rodgers, if he plays well, is our best option. But I forgot who mentioned it. I think Justin Fields. Was it Ed or was it you? I don't remember.
Someone suggested Fields as an option.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea because he was playing really well until he was benched for Russell Wilson. And then if we have a modern offense with a running quarterback, like when was the last time we had one of those? Like having a cheat code, a guy that can actually run for yards, and his completion percentage was pretty high before. I don't know it offhand, but it was really good. So having a modern offense, a proper coach that could coach him up, that sounds good to me. I don't know. And then the last thing, the thing Alan mentioned, the coaches. Having a young OC type coach would or could work if you have like a more experienced defensive coordinator alongside with them. And an example is when Sean McVay was coaching for the Rams, but he had Wade Phillips when they first started. So Wade Phillips was like the established, experienced guy, and then Sean McVay was the young, up-and-coming guy before he got his sea legs under him. That could be pretty cool too. I mean, we can get creative with that. I mean, ideally, yeah, you want to have somebody with experience, but the experience can come from the other side, right? Because offensive guys get poached all the time, and then we're back here again looking for another offensive coordinator. But ideally, we would have an offensive head coach, and the defensive guy would be they could be poached, whatever. But even if it's a young guy, having a Brian Flores defensive coordinator, I know he won't do that, and then a younger, more innovative offensive mind. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. If you could pair the right people together,
right?
I brought up though the need for experience, which is why I'm leaning with guys who have done it before. However, like there's a really good scenario you could put together a coaching staff of Brian Flores and Brian Dable, for example. Like I'd prefer that, the guys who have done it, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. Because I would love to see. I don't want to limit ourselves to just like the three guys that we think are good. I mean, like it'd be cool to be more creative with that search because we're clearly, everybody's getting fired, and the most important thing. What was and last thing because I have to get make sure they're hanging the lights correctly. Is I forgot. I think it was the Lions coach. He was saying that the most important thing that a coach does is hires the staff.
Yep.
And I think that's where we messed up with Saleh. Saleh hired a staff that wasn't great, and here we are.
And we knew they weren't great, and that was the problem.
Right.
Here we are. Is right. Sergi, good luck with the lights, man.
Thank you, Joe.
Appreciate you. He's right. JJ in the house. All the moves Jake praised JD for in the offseason were actually by Woody. The story makes JD look worse. Woody gave him the keys for 5 years and took it back. I mean, I don't believe that it was all Woody why they signed Tyron Smith and Mike Williams. I'm sorry. That is conveniently in that story by Joe Douglas's agent putting it out there to try and make Joe Douglas look better. I don't buy everything in that story. I'm sorry. Do I think Woody meddled? Obviously, he fired the head coach 5 games in. That's called meddling. He didn't tell JD he was going to do that. He just did it. But I'm sorry. This doesn't excuse Joe Douglas for the other 5 years. He got this year to try and win the team's 3-8. It was over. Was it all bad for Douglas? Obviously not. But unfortunately, he made too many mistakes to overcome some of the hits he did have. Coach James says, Jake, I agree that we watch Aaron and make a decision based on the next 6 games and pick up a quarterback so they can learn behind him for at least a season. By the way, I upgraded. Coach James, welcome aboard. Look, I don't think Aaron's here next year, but I'm also not going to sit here and be like, it's impossible if he looks good post-bye. Maybe he does get healthy. Maybe he's better down the stretch. I don't know. Kyle says, Jets or any NFL team is a public trust due to an antitrust exception, so any owner who doesn't think they have an obligation to the fans is wrong. Yeah, I mean, it's also called smart business. I mean, you're raising your season ticket prices for what? And now this story comes out, I think the fans deserve to hear from the owner. Fired the GM. He already fired the coach. This story comes out that says he's meddling. You got to redress it. If anything, just issue a mea culpa. I am sorry the way the season has gone. It is unacceptable. I promise you we are doing everything in our power to hire the right football people and then let them do their jobs. And even if you don't believe that as a Jet fan, I'd rather hear from Woody say something than nothing. So I agree with Fireman Eddie should speak. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're still one of the over 540 people tuned in live right now. So much for the bye week, huh? There is always something with this football team. We're going to be back in the afternoon as we always are. Check back around, I'd say 4 p.m. Eastern time for our second stream of the day. It will be wild. It will be crazy. And you never know what might happen. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jake Asman. This has been the Jake Asman Show. If you want to support me, get on the Patreon, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. That's the best way to get access to our Discord, name in the intro, discounts on all merch items, bonus shows, and a whole lot more. Metal Man, Justin, Tom, Sir Do Pickle, Mickey, and Phil, thank you all for being our most recent Patreon subscribers. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day. I end today's show with a message to all. Hang in there, Jet fans. Hang in there.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the greatest shoe salesman since Al Bundy, the great Mr. Bonesy. Hey, Bonesy!
Thank my brother, thank my brother.
Bonesy, did you see Gators impersonation? They were crazy, right?
Gators freaking crazy, man. I don't even know what to say anymore. He's just crazy. I want you Gator to do this thing about it. It's just so crazy. I'm trying to sell the shoes, but oh man, I don't know about the Jets that I got shoes to sell, but I get it. Just look crazy, man. I can't take him anymore. It's just crazy. Oh my God, he's crazy.
Well, one of the greats, Mr. Bonesy.
People in the chat are asking, where's Ryan and where's Jet Central? Ryan couldn't make it.
Isn't Ryan on hold, Richie?
Ryan's on hold. Oh.
Wait, is he here?
Wait.
Bring him on and start over. Hey, look.
Wait, he's
been here.
You guys didn't invite me to this fucking thing. What the fuck's how come you didn't invite me to this fucking thing? All of a sudden, like, I come on the YouTubes and I see all this green. It looks like Shrek took a shit. Shouldn't that guy be in jail? And did you see what that guy did with Melania?
Into the Taekwondo! You gosh darn go! I changed my profile pic to a Patriots logo as a joke, and now Twitter is not allowing me to change my profile pic back. So it appears I.
Oh gosh.
Be in jail. That's great.
What the heck was that? I did not expect that. All of a sudden, Jake's like, "There's someone backstage." And
that was awesome.
Did you send Gator the link, Jake? I'm so confused.
I can't comment publicly on what transpired.
Of course,
that completely caught me off guard. I did not expect that. Or that was fun.
That was good.
Oh, that was great. All right, well, that was Ryan. Jets Talk 24/7.
I believe we have the founder of Twitter calling in, Elon Musk. So this should be interesting. Elon?
Hey, Jake. Elon Musk here. Just wanted to let you know that I purchased the New York Jets today. You'll be excited to know that they will now be called the New York X. I decided to make this announcement from V-Man's house as I know how much he loves me. Let's go, X.
Oh, what's up? It's killing me. I'm just muttering randomly, but honestly, I don't. Sorry, I am just joking.
Let's go, X.
Elon? Thanks for the time. He's gone. Oh, what just happened? What the hell just happened there? Oh, my God. That's got to be a Gator masterpiece, right? I mean, come on now. Elon Musk from V-Man's room. Calling the Jets X now. I don't think you could do that, Elon. I don't know what that was. The last thing we need right now is his distraction buying the team. Elon Musk calling in from V-Man's house. Yeah, the Weepa being in there from V-Man. Oh, my God. Maybe some of Gator's best. The New York.
So we're going to get into all of it here. Again, my name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We come 2 hours after every final whistle here for the post-game show. And I'm going to be honest. The only good thing that happened to me late tonight, early this morning, was making sweet, passionate love to my fiance, which I did after the article was written and that kind of stuff. That's the only good thing that happened. Not great. Terrible.
Hey, congrats on the sex.